computer shop. I don't have a slideshow. I'm just going to very quickly just give you an update on parking management in Springvale. Parking management is my responsibility within the council. You'll all be aware that we introduced paid parking in Springvale in November last year. Before we did that, we did a survey of activity occurring in the Springvale Central Activity District in terms of the level of occupancy of car parking spaces and the duration of stay, in other words, how long people are staying. And we used that information in council's decision-making process to put paid parking in. We surveyed the area again in March this year to compare to see if there'd been any change since we introduced paid parking. And what I'm pleased to say is that what that survey showed was that we had a small but a definite increase in visitations to the centre, which when the first survey was done, which was in August last year and March of this year, about a 3% increase in the number of visits to the area. So that's a positive thing. What the survey also showed us was that we had now an average of about 80% occupancy across the whole of the Central Activity District. 85% is the point where you start to have real problems. People start to have problems getting car parking. But at the moment we've got an overall result of 80%. But in the core area, in some of the busiest streets, such as Buckingham Avenue, we are up at 85% a lot of the time. And that's why paid parking becomes important, because it enables us to manage that effectively. Similarly, in the Warwick Avenue car parks, during their busiest times of day, which is about 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day, that also is up at around 85% occupancy. What we've also been able to determine is that since we introduced paid parking, there hasn't been any real impact on the surrounding residential streets. There's been a very small increase in parking in some of those streets, but not enough to warrant any action at this time, but we'll continue to monitor that. What's also happened is that we've seen a significant decrease in the number of parking infringements being issued. The number of parking infringements being issued for double parking, that is where people stop in the street and wait for a parking space to become available, that's dropped by 77%. So what that means is that people are not having to wait anywhere near as long to get a parking spot. So they're not driving around for ages and ages trying to find a spot, they're getting a spot much more quickly. And similarly, the number of people who are staying too long has also reduced, and we've had a 48% drop in the number of people who are staying too long and receiving infringements. So we'll continue to monitor this. We'll be surveying it at regular intervals so that we can see what's happening into the future, and then we can adjust as we go. We're also looking at further improvements we can make in our off-street car parks. Most particularly in the 8 Balmoral car park, there's been a lot of community concern about how that car park operated. In April this year, we removed the boom gates and put in a much friendlier and much easier to use system, the same as what's on the street. And what we found is that people are much more comfortable with that, it's much easier for them to use. And we're also looking at ways of being able to make that car park more accessible for people. Because we have had some concerns over this, that people find it difficult to get in and out at the car park, especially at the top of the first ramp. So we're looking at what engineering solutions we might be able to put in place to see if we can fix that. The final thing that I'd like to tell you about is that this year Council has been successful in applying for a grant to the federal government to put CCTV onto the streets of Springvale. We've received a $500,000 grant to do that. We're just negotiating the final terms of the agreement with the federal government on that. But that CCTV system will be in place and operating by the 30th of June next year, and it will cover all of the core of the Springvale Central Activity District. So Buckingham Avenue, Springvale Road, Warwick Avenue, Balmoral Avenue, Windsor Avenue, that whole precinct will be fully covered by the CCTV, and it will be able to be monitored by the police at the Springvale Police Station if they want to do that, but it will also be able to be monitored at the Dandenong Police Station. So it will be a great tool for the police to be able to use both on a day-to-day basis, but also if they need to conduct operations to manage particular problems, because they'll have full access to it. And that system will make Greater Dandenong, will provide Greater Dandenong with the largest public space CCTV system in the state. So we're ahead of everybody else in terms of that system, and it's all fully integrated. That's all I have to say.